So for the last couple of years, we've been invited to Kentucky to a place called Buck Country Outfitters, where they have over 5,000 acres, 3,000 set up, archery only, and the rest is whatever you want. And they do have regulations. The average buck shot there, or the bucks that you're allowed to shoot, are 130 inches or bigger. The nice thing about those guys is they understand that our kids are out for the first time and actually are allowed to shoot whatever they want. So we have special privileges, and we're always excited to get down there because we know we're gonna put some deer on the ground. Every time we come, we're greeted by the owner, Derek, and Ken, who is his main guide, and every time it's like walking home to family. They greet you with open arms. The lodge is super comfortable. It's such a fantastic place to go. And every year I'm excited to bring new kids there. So this year, Pal is taking Landon and Felix to Kentucky. Landon is a distance runner as well as a javelin thrower. He hunted 1 year before but didn't have any luck, and was hoping his luck would change with outdoor Pal. Felix, on the other hand, has never been in the woods. He just went through the hunter safety course, got through it, passed it, got his license, and is excited about being in the woods for the first time with outdoor. Now this hunt in Kentucky, we're gonna start with archery. We have 2 days of archery season. Then they have a youth season in which they can switch to rifles. So if they don't have a deer at the end of the archery season, we can transition and hopefully get one with a rifle. So we're pretty excited to go, and we can't wait to get there.
You prepare for the extreme, so that average becomes mundane. That's why I rely on Precision Hunter ammunition. I never have to compromise at any distance. Hornady Precision Hunter ammunition.
This is how we like to do it.
Our kind of accuracy isn't something easily come by. It isn't found anywhere in the world in its pure state, and you cannot buy it by the pound. We have to build it into our bullets carefully, a 10,000th of an inch and a 1/10 of a grain at a time. No, accuracy just doesn't happen. You have to make it happen with tools, with men, with bullets, and with rifles. I'm Joyce Hornady. I make bullets.
Ready to roll out?
Yeah.
First afternoon,
Remember what I said?
first hunt.
Josiah's gonna score it for the biggest buck. It's $50 at the end of the hunt.
That's right.
Contest.
Contest. Let's see who gets it. The first day out, Felix and I hit the woods with the crossbow. We were hunting with the Raven crossbow, and we went out to a little field and crawled up in a 2-man tree stand and watched the edge of a field right on a wood lot and waited for some deer to come out. About 400 yards to our south was Doug and Landon, and they sat in a little blind, of course watching over a different part of the cornfield with a different wood lot behind it, looking for different deer, but also hoping that something would come out in bow range. So Felix and I go out and sit in a tree stand with the crossbow, and right before dark, we have a little buck come out. And Felix is excited about it, and I start lining up the camera and I'm telling him to wait because it's, 75, 80 yards away. It's walking toward us. So I keep telling him to hold off, hold off, hold off. And it comes out to about 40 yards and it kind of turns up toward the woods, and he's kind of close to a broadside shot. It's still quartering towards a little bit. And so I said, listen, you aim, start looking through the scope, get it in your scope. It's at like 45 yards. That's well within that Raven crossbow's range. I'm gonna adjust the camera. So I get up to adjust the camera and I tell him, I said, go ahead and take it off safety. Well, the mistake with a young hunter was he took it off safety, but as he took it off safety, he had the trigger pulled and the arrow fired at the deer. Didn't hit the deer, didn't get anywhere close to the deer. And thank God there was no accidents with any of us being in front of it. But we both learned a valuable lesson. As I was trying to mess with the cameras and wasn't paying as close attention to him as I should have, he fired off that arrow or bolt and by accident completely. So we're grateful that we didn't wound the deer. We're grateful that we didn't get shot and killed. And we went back over the safety things and said, when you're nervous, when you're excited, you still got to remember the same things. If that trigger is pulled, it's going to shoot. So we both learned a valuable lesson that day, in that I need to be less concerned with the camera and getting the shot and pay a little more attention to him, and he needs to remember his basics and keep his finger off the trigger. All in all, it was still a great hunt. He got to see a deer. He let off a round at the deer or a bolt at the deer. We didn't get it, but there was a lot of potential for the upcoming days. Tell me what you saw tonight.
A deer.
What kind of deer?
A spiked buck.
Yeah. Could you have shot it?
Yeah.
Decided to pass it up, hopes a bigger one?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. You guys still excited?
Yep.
You didn't get too bored, did you?
No.
Getting photobombed.
Look at that. Doug Tanner, cameraman extraordinaire there, butting in. What do you think over there? What'd you see? Anything?
Just an owl.
An owl?
Yeah.
All right. No deer, huh? You still excited? You still want to go out in the morning?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Well, until tomorrow, let's go home and eat some chili. What do you say?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Sounds good.
This is how we like to do it.
You prepare for the extreme so that average becomes mundane. That's why I rely on Precision Hunter ammunition. I never have to compromise at any distance. Hornady Precision Hunter ammunition.
So the next day we went out, we switched stands, We did see a couple of deer. Nothing quite came into range for us to shoot with the bow. Felix and I were able to see some turkeys. We did have a deer come in behind us, but we couldn't get turned around and get a shot on it in time. But again, it was a great second day. We saw lots of game, and we were looking forward to be able to switch it up and get the rifle out and maybe be able to reach out there a little bit. On the third day, Felix and I hiked in about a mile back into a field that's way back in the middle of nowhere, and they have a wooden blind set up. We set up in that blind. As we were sitting there, we sat, it felt like all day long, and we had a deer right at dusk that we couldn't get quite in the scope, and it took off. And then probably right around 10 or 10:30, when we were thinking about leaving the stand and going back for lunch, we had a little buck walk out. This is part of hunting. This is part of something that happens when you take kids hunting. He looked at the deer, he got it in his scope, he said he had a good shot, and he squeezed off the trigger. The deer jumped and looked like he hit it. It ran down over the hill, and we were both excited. We thought he just shot his first buck. I went down to check the area where he shot, and I found good blood, and the blood went back in to the woods. So I called the owner, Derek and Ken, and they came out and met us, and we followed the blood trail in. Unfortunately, when we reviewed the footage and followed the blood trail out far enough, it looked like he hit the deer low in the leg and didn't hit it high enough in the shoulder. And that deer, it looked like its leg was broken, but it looked like it was gonna live, and it was not in a hurry of dying, and it kept running off. And more than likely, its leg was healed up and it lived till the next year. So it was good and bad. Bad that we were sad we hit the deer and didn't get it, but good that we didn't mortally wound the deer and not recover it. So I told Felix, I said, keep your chin up. This happens when you first start learning to hunt. It's a normal thing. We can get past it, move on, and we'll just look forward to the next day. The next day we went out, we hunted a field out in the farm in a different stand, and as we were approaching the field, we saw some deer up on the trail that we were gonna drive the truck on. So I said, let's stop the truck, we'll get out, and we'll try to hike up there and sneak up on those deer. As we did, when we got to the field that the deer were in, they were no longer there. They had crept back into the woods. And so the deer that we were trying to sneak up on and put a stalk on were gone. But I said, hey, we're already up here. Let's keep going to the stand. It's up here another couple hundred yards. We'll get up in that field and we'll just sit till dark. So as we started to creep up there was a spike buck standing in the middle of the field. We came up the end of the trail and opened in the field, and there was a spike buck standing there. I told him, I said, you see that buck? He said, yeah. I said, well, let's get on it. I moved over and tried to get the camera on it. He tried to pull the gun up and point at it. I said, no, just wait. Let's get it on the sticks. Let's make sure you're steady. We walked over. He got steady. He had the deer. He asked me if I was on it. I told him no. I said, you have to wait. I'm not on it. I'm not on it. I finally got on it. I said, okay, I'm good. Pull the trigger when you're ready. He shot that deer. He shot a little bit high, but it dropped right in his tracks, and Felix got his first deer. I turned and panned the camera onto him, and his smile was from ear to ear. He was grinning so big, he couldn't believe he actually got it done. So I told him, I said, this is how hunting goes. Some days you can be at your lowest low, you're thinking you're not gonna get it done, and the next day everything changes. You just gotta keep going, keep trying, and you'll get it. And I asked him, I said, so what'd you think of hunting? He said, I love it. I'm gonna continue to do it the rest of my life.
What do you think, man?
This is cool.
It's your first buck. Shot him good, dropped right in his tracks. Awesome. What do you think about your outdoor POW program?
It's cool.
It is cool. I'm glad you came, man. You hung in there, stuck with it. Quiet, still, day after day, early, late. Did a good job, man. Proud of you.
Thank you.
You bet, brother.
It was a fantastic trip for Felix and I. He had a great time. He got an entire deer. We got to butcher it up, take it back to his family where they could eat it all winter long. So Landon and Doug had a couple of days of hunting, and it seemed to go every day. They had some encounters, but they weren't able to get it done. The last day, the owner, Derek, asked me if he could take Landon and another boy out together to a field where they had a bunch of deer coming out. And Doug was more than willing, the cameraman Doug was more than willing to give him a break and let Derek take him out, film him with the camera. So Derek took the boys out to this field and they were sitting together, and 2 small bucks came out around the same time. They came out to probably 75 to 100 yards. The boys took their times and Derek literally counted down 1, 2, 3, shoot. The boys both shot, both hit their deer. One boy's deer dropped. Landon's deer got hit a little far back and hunched up and started to walk away. Landon had a lever action gun and he cocked his gun and went to shoot again, and it didn't shoot. And he cocked it and it didn't shoot. And so he was starting to panic, and good news is Derek is a seasoned hunter, the guy who owns Buck Country. He said, don't panic. Grabbed the 243 that the other boy used, handed it to Landon. Landon then used that kid's gun, aimed, shot, and actually killed his deer. So Landon then got a nice little buck, and both the boys were super excited. Both the boys got bucks and had a great trip.
First deer?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
First deer?
First deer.
Good job, guys.
Look, this is hollow right here.
Is it hollow?
Oh yeah, that's
good job, buddy.
hollow.
You guys did great.
I just want to take a minute and say thank you to Buck Country Outfitters for allowing us to come here. This is Felix's first deer. This is a city kid that's never hunted before, never gotten a chance, and here he is. Got his first deer. What do you think, Felix? Do you like hunting?
It's really fun.
It is a lot of fun. I'd also like to thank the city of Lancaster and the police department, all the great guys that I work with, for thinking this is worthwhile and doing and being big supporters of what we do. And obviously all of our sponsors for Lancaster POW, we'd like to say thank you for supporting this program in Outdoor POW. And awesome. This is what we get to do, guys. We get to help these guys learn how to hunt. So thanks again.
Thank you to our sponsors: the Allstate Foundation, Annie Ann's Cares Committee, Safari Club International, the Lehigh Valley chapter, and the Eastern chapter of the Wild Sheep Foundation.